Saturday, June 21st, 2025. Professional British wingsuit champion Liam Byrne stood on top of the Swiss Alps, ready to take part in his most daring flight to date. At almost 8,000 feet above sea level, the wind howled at his back, and the sun lit up the valley below him. He took one final deep breath before throwing himself from the very edge of the mountain. After nearly 4,000 jumps, he was a champion, a master of the sport. Nothing suggested that this day would be any different, but within minutes, the unthinkable happened. This is the story of why the first wingsuit death in 2025 is nearly unbelievable. Welcome to the Extreme Edge. Liam Byrne was born in Stovenhaven, a little-known corner of Scotland, but that didn't stop him from living an exciting life. While many of us stumble into an office each morning, yawning and rushing for coffee, Liam decided from an early age that this was not a life he wanted. Instead, his place of work lay among the clouds, literally. Growing up on Scotland's northeast coast, the rugged wilderness provided him with the perfect setting for an adventurous life, and that started early. His father was an ex-Royal Marine Commando who fostered a love for the extreme that would shape Liam's early life. By 12, he had climbed Kilimanjaro, and just 2 years later, he traveled over 500 kilometers across Norway, Sweden, and Finland with huskies. These early accomplishments certainly set up Liam for a life of pushing boundaries. But despite his love for the mountains, there was one realm he wanted to conquer more than anything else: the sky. As a child, Liam often told his father he dreamed of learning to fly like a bird. While some part of him knew this was physically impossible, there were ways to bend the rules, as Liam would find out. During class, he would spend a lot of his time staring out the window at the birds, who could just fly away whenever they wanted. The more he watched, the more Liam wanted that kind of freedom. It became a burning desire for the young man, and all he could think about. While he couldn't grow wings like a bird, Liam discovered there were other ways to fly, and by 14, he was a licensed paraglider. His fascination with the sky didn't stop there. Just 2 years later, he completed his first skydive. But his life was forever changed at 18, when he found his one true passion: wingsuit flying. For those who don't know what that is, essentially, Liam jumped from high places, including airplanes and mountains, wearing a specialized webbed-sleeved jumpsuit with membranes between the arms, body, and legs, which allowed him to glide through the air. But if you still don't feel like you understand, picture this. An average jump for Liam saw him hike to the top of a mountain, preferably one with long, sloping ridges. Once at the peak, he may have taken a moment to take in the view before jumping from an overhang or cliff. Within seconds, the suit filled with air, and he may have let out an excited scream as he glided among the birds. This extreme sport made him feel alive. Every time he jumped, a sense of freedom overcame him. It was as if he had been searching for this his whole life, and now it was in his lap. To Liam, this was a sport he truly loved, and where he felt most alive. But, as we know, the things that we love the most can often lead us into trouble. In 2022, Liam made his most significant achievement to date. He was crowned the British wingsuit champion and even claimed the fastest speed in the advanced category. This was it, everything he had worked so hard for. Liam was overcome with happiness, and he proudly returned to his small hometown in Scotland as a national champion. But while the accomplishment was certainly something to be proud of, Liam, like many champions, also chose to highlight that it was the hard work that led him here. He had spent thousands of hours training for this very moment, and to become a British champion must have made it seem like every training session was worth it. This wasn't just a win, it was a platform, a chance to inspire, to share, to continue pushing boundaries, to help motivate other people from not only small towns in Scotland, but across the world to pursue their passion wholeheartedly. In the end, it was his way of saying anything is possible. He once dreamed of flying, and now he was a champion of the skies. Liam didn't let his impressive victory affect his ego, however. While the win left him feeling like he was successfully mastering his craft and pushing the boundaries of what was possible, he still considered every jump a lesson. But if you still doubt his dedication to wingsuit gliding, he lived out of his father's old van for 5 years just so he could spend his time training and traveling to the best wingsuit jump locations in Europe. The incredible journey of Liam from a young child who dreamed of flying to a 24-year-old professional wingsuit glider was showcased in a documentary where he became known as the boy who could fly. By this point, Liam had nearly 4,000 jumps to his name, and his forever growing confidence led him to attempt more daring challenges. But in the world of extreme sports, where the line between excitement and danger is razor thin, some can't help but chase a dream so crazy that it defines their very existence. And on June 21st, 2025, it happened. Liam took part in a jump at nearly 8,000 feet above sea level in the Swiss Alps. On this sunny afternoon during the middle of Europe's summer, Liam and 2 other wingsuit flyers made their way to the top of Gitschen Mountain. Many of the world's best wingsuit flyers flock to this part of central Switzerland, as the steep sides of the mountain are perfect for gliding, providing a clear and mostly unobstructed path to the ground below. Once at the top, Liam was met with a breathtaking view of the crystal blue waters of Lake Lucerne and the vibrant green valleys. For a moment, he may have even smiled, knowing few jobs in the world could provide anyone with such a beautiful view. But he was here with a goal in mind, and soon he would have to jump. Tiny detour on this chaos train. If you'd like to be part of the extreme community, get early access to our videos and exclusive polls, come join us on Patreon. See you there. Standing at the edge of the cliff, it's difficult to imagine how you might feel. For most of us, the idea of jumping from such a high cliff would leave us terrified and riddled with anxiety. But in this way, we aren't that different from Liam, who openly revealed how he often found himself feeling both scared and excited. In one interview, he said, "When I'm getting ready to go to the end of a cliff and jump off, there's a voice in my head that says, 'What are you doing, man?' And then the other voice in my head says, 'This is what you've been dreaming about your entire life. This is what everything's been leading up to. This is your destiny.' And that voice always wins." Still, even with Liam's motivational speech, you might still be wondering why anyone would participate in such a crazy sport. I mean, strapping yourself into a small suit and jumping off a cliff is the definition of insanity to most people, but not to Liam. While sports like his sometimes have a reputation for being dangerous, and those who practice them are labeled nothing more than reckless adrenaline junkies, Liam didn't agree with this. He often highlighted the side of the sport people didn't see, like how he had spent more than a decade building his skill and always carefully planned each and every one of his jumps. That was key. In a world of endless sky, control was his anchor. To outsiders, maybe they considered Liam fearless because, in the end, he was never afraid. But it's much deeper than that. He simply refused to let fear hold him back. To others, he chased life in a way that most only dream of. When it came to wingsuit gliding, that was his version of freedom. It was where he felt most alive. On one occasion, he said, "For me, I'm about as far from a reckless adrenaline junkie as you can possibly get. Preparation has always been at the heart of all my challenges. The more I prepare, the more control I have." It was this mindset that allowed Liam to become one of the greatest wingsuit flyers of this generation. And on this particularly sunny afternoon last June, it was just another day at the office. He checked his gear once more to ensure everything was in place, and then, with a deep breath, he jumped from the side of the cliff before opening his arms and legs to allow the suit to do its work. For a brief moment, Liam was back in his happy place as he glided through the air. Below him lay the lush green valleys of the Swiss Alps, and as the wind whipped against his suit, suddenly all of his worries became a distant memory. It was just him and the sky. But unfortunately, this story doesn't have a happy ending. What I'm going to tell you next is both terrifying and mysterious. After takeoff, those who were on the mountain with him claimed Liam had traveled off the intended course, and before long, he found himself in serious trouble. While the exact events that followed are shrouded in mystery, investigators believed that Liam lost control of his suit before crashing into a rocky outcrop at around 6,900 feet. On average, wingsuit flyers travel at speeds between 100 and 150 miles per hour, or roughly 160 to 240 kilometers per hour. If Liam were aware of the danger he faced, maybe he would have tried to slow down and even pull his chute. But it's difficult to say with certainty what happened. What we do know is that an impact at such high speeds is a recipe for disaster. Liam's body could not overcome the injuries he sustained, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. In the aftermath of the heartbreaking incident, one question came to mind for followers of the sport. How could such an experienced wingsuit flyer find himself in such a dangerous situation? Did he suffer some kind of malfunction with his suit? Or was the risky nature of the jump to blame? Many theories began emerging, some even suggesting he may have suffered some kind of medical problem as he flew to the ground. But unfortunately, the only person who could shed light on what really happened was now deceased. The other two wingsuit flyers who jumped from the mountain that day claim Liam was acting normally before they jumped. This leads us to then ask, was Liam aware of the dangerous situation he faced during his final moments? Maybe we'll never know. We can only speculate what he felt as he lost control. Shortly after his death, an investigation by the Office of the Attorney General of Switzerland and the Public Prosecutor's Office of Uri was opened to try and discover what went wrong that day. How could someone with so much experience and who carefully prepared before any jump lose their life in such a horrible way? Do you think the jump was risky? And if so, why? Critics quickly began questioning the safety of the mountain as a whole, claiming it's far too dangerous for wingsuit flyers, as the powerful winds can quickly blow them off course. Others claim mountain terrain in general is dangerous for sports of this nature, as it's difficult to properly judge distance. However, dozens of other notable wingsuit flyers, including New Zealand's Clem Newell, have come to the defense of the location, claiming it's perfectly safe to jump from. In one interview, he explained how it was one of the most enjoyable jumps he ever completed. But if it's not an issue of safety, then was Liam's death simply a terrible accident? Deaths in extreme sports are certainly not uncommon, and more so, those by slightly less experienced wingsuit gliders occur more frequently than most would imagine. In fact, back in 2023, a 33-year-old American, Callie Alicia Turner, died in Brazil during a wingsuit jump from Pedra dos Cabritos. Callie fell approximately over 2,600 feet, or about 792 meters, after her equipment malfunctioned, resulting in a fatal impact. Tragically, she had only made her first wingsuit base jump 2 days before the accident. Her death served as a stark reminder of the extreme danger of rapid progression in such a high-risk sport without proper experience, as attempting a wingsuit jump, especially with limited prior wingsuit experience, significantly increases the margin for error and the likelihood of a fatal outcome. 4 years before Callie's heartbreaking accident, 51-year-old American wingsuit student John Malmberg died in Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland, during a wingsuit flight. John had considerably more experience than Callie, with over 140 base jumps and 300 skydives under his belt. He was taking part in a course with the company Learn to Base Jump when the fatal accident occurred. The cause of John's death was attributed to being too slow in pulling his pilot chute, which is the small parachute that initiates the deployment of the main parachute. Ironically, he was using a new one-piece tracking wingsuit designed with improved aerodynamics and increased mobility, intended to reduce deaths from slow parachute pulls. However, experts suggested that despite the advanced gear, the jump in Lauterbrunnen might have been too challenging for John's skill level. This again highlights just how important experience is in a sport where one minor mistake can be the difference between life and death. To many, his death underscored the ongoing risks in wingsuit base jumping, even with increased educational opportunities and technological advancements in equipment. But as we turn our attention back to Liam, the difference between him and these unfortunate victims is that he had so much more experience. He had completed thousands more jumps than both Callie and John combined, and the details of every jump were obsessively calculated, down to the fine details. That's why it's so unbelievable that he tragically passed away back in June of this year. In the video, we've clearly explained that Liam was no stranger to extreme sports, nor to wingsuit gliding. In fact, it was his life. With his unfortunate death, the sport has lost not only one of its youngest professionals, but one of its best. As the investigation continues, it may provide us with some information to explain what truly happened on the mountain that day. Was it a malfunction of his equipment? Did a small lapse in judgment lead him to make a fatal mistake? Or is the Gichen Mountain of central Switzerland just too dangerous for wingsuit gliders? Maybe in time, these questions will be answered. But there's also the option that we may never find closure. What do you think went wrong? As we look back at Liam's life, it's safe to say he lived in a way most of us can only dream of. He chased life each and every day. He soared between the clouds, and in those brief moments where he floated between the sun and the sea, he was truly free. His story isn't just about how it ended, but about every single flight that came before. Every leap into the unknown was how he chased his dreams. Liam often said that an office job scared him far more than the fear of dying from a base or wingsuit jump. So in this way, I think it's safe to say at least he died doing what he truly loved. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay bold and live brave.